magnetic materials. Anyone answer what are magnetic materials? Yes, anyone?
Which have attracting properties.
They have attracting properties or all magnetic materials. Hmm? Which attracts what?
Metals, iron.
Opposite poles.
Opposite poles are magnetic materials.
Dipole.
Hmm? Dipoles are magnetic materials.
which
This is
produce magnetic field around them.
what is magnetic field? What is magnetic field? Is the basis.
A
The
force of
property,
Sir,
magnetic field.
the influence, sir. The influence
yeah.
of magnetic.
The property of attracting substances with some force is magnetism. And the materials which exhibit this property, these are called as magnetic materials. So in this present topic, in the magnetic materials, first we'll do introduction, what actually the magnetic materials and basic definitions involved in magnetic materials. Then the classification of magnetic materials as dia, para, ferro, antiferro, and ferrimagnetic materials. There are many theories or they evolved for explaining the magnetic behavior of materials. Such an important theory is the Weis-Markov field theory of ferromagnetism. Small derivations also there, and the concept behind this we are going to discuss. Then concept of magnetic domains, hysteresis curve. Today in the morning we have discussed ferroelectric hysteresis. Here we discuss magnetic hysteresis. And the types of magnetic materials as the soft and hard magnetic materials. A special category of magnetic materials they are ferrites. So what are ferrites and what is the structure and the applications of ferrites we are going to discuss in this chapter. Just note down. Otherwise, you take a screenshot. Introduction. As per syllabus, we have classification of magnetic materials as dia, para, ferro, and antiferro and ferrimagnetic materials. Then a fundamental aspect of which explains the ferromagnetic behavior of materials, which is called as Weis molecular field theory. Then you have a Weis domain theory, and the concept of domains we have to study. Then magnetic hysteresis, the same is also called as hysteresis curve. Then soft and hard magnetic materials, ferrites, applications of ferrites. This we are going to discuss in this chapter. What are the magnetic materials? You said many answers. The most genuine answer is the property of attracting substances with some force. So materials which get easily magnetized in a magnetic field. They are called as magnetic materials. Like iron. If you take a magnet, you move the magnet towards iron piece immediately. The iron piece attracts towards the magnet. So both will and see iron powder is there. How they are with the magnet. Easily they can be magnetized and they can be attracted strongly by this magnetic material. So the property of attracting substances with some force is called as magnetism, and the materials exhibiting this property, these are called as magnetic materials. So magnetic is a device that attracts iron and produces a magnetic field, as you said. And this is very important in present modern technology because many technologies they involve the properties of magnetic materials and the phenomena of magnetism. So the electromagnetic devices, all they work on our TV, television coils, scanning coils, and computer data also. It's all this programming. It is based on how a computer, how can you share by using this electromagnetic spectrum only. So there are many techniques which are growing techniques, they are based on the magnetic behavior of materials, of the property of magnetism, like power generators, transformers. In olden days, all these are conventional methods in this magnetic field is widely used, magnetic materials, electric motors, radio waves, radio, television, telephones, mobiles, transmitters, radio production, etc. Memory devices also, clipping circuits. There are excellent properties of this magnetic material. Magnetic alloys, it's a growing area, and by taking different compositions of magnetic materials, you can change the properties excellently. So that is also there. But in this chapter, we are going to discuss the classification of magnetic materials, and in particular, we'll discuss the behavior of a ferromagnetic material. So, what are ferromagnetic materials? What is the theory? What are magnetic domains? Ferromagnetic history. This is soft and hard magnetic materials, ferrites. All they come under this category only. So, in particular, in focus, we will discuss the behavior of a ferromagnetic material. Before that, you should understand some basic definitions. I think better you write these definitions once I explain. These are the basic definitions which you have studied in your intermediate. A device which attracts iron and produces magnetic field is called as a magnet. And these are the definitions. Better you take. The first one is magnetic dipole, like electric dipole. If two equal and opposite magnetic poles are separated by certain distance, then it is called as magnetic dipole. So North Pole and South Pole, if they separated with certain distance d, then it is called as magnetic dipole. So write down two equal and opposite magnetic poles if two equal and opposite magnetic poles are separated by a small distance, then it is called a magnetic dipole. Otherwise, you can define like this. The entity at which two equal and opposite magnetic poles separated by certain distance is known as magnetic dipole. Two equal and opposite magnetic poles separated by a small distance is known as magnetic dipole. Please note. Mu is magnetic dipole moment, magnetic dipole. D is the distance of separation. Because of the dipole, it creates certain force which is called as magnetic dipole moment. The second one is the product of pole strength M and the length 2L of the magnet is called as dipole moment. Magnetic pole strength is represented by M in magnitude, and 2L is the length. If you take a bar magnet from the center to each side, the distance is L. So the total distance is 2L between the two poles. So the product of pole strength M and the length of 2L of the magnet is called as magnetic dipole moment, or mu M is equal to M into 2L. This is magnetic dipole moment. And the third one is magnetic induction. The same is also known as magnetic flux density. So the number of magnetic lines or magnetic flux per unit area perpendicular to its propagation is called as magnetic flux density. So the magnetic flux passing through a unit area of cross section perpendicularly is called as magnetic induction or magnetic flux density. It is represented by capital B. If phi is the magnetic flux, that is number of magnetic lines per unit area, and A is number of magnetic lines, and A is area of cross section, then magnetic induction B is equal to pi by A, or pi is equal to B into A, where B is magnetic induction, A is area of cross section, pi is flux, magnetic flux. Then the fourth one is magnetic field intensity. All you have studied in your basic schooling or intermediate. The force experienced by a unit north pole at that point on the magnetic field is called as magnetic field intensity, which is represented by H. It is also represented as B by mu, which is the ratio of magnetic induction to the permeability of medium, which is magnetic field intensity, H. The force experienced by a unit north pole at that point in the magnetic field is called as magnetic intensity. Did you copy all the four definitions? The entity or at which two equal opposite magnetic poles are separated by a certain distance is called as magnetic dipole. If m is the pole strength and 2l is the distance of separation, then magnetic dipole moment is the product of these two, that is m into 2l. The magnetic flux passing through unit area of cross section perpendicularly is called as magnetic induction, or B is equal to pi by A, where pi is the flux, A is the area of cross section. Then magnetic field intensity. The force experienced by a unit north pole at that point in the field is called as magnetic field intensity. It measures how a weak or strong field is. That means with that, only we can assume with that field it is attracting or repulsing the substance, we can estimate. It is defined as a ratio of magnetic induction and permeability of the medium. Take these definitions. Shall I proceed, girls? For next definition, all this you have studied in your intermediate. Shall I proceed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Some more definitions. So magnetic permeability. So it is similar to permittivity in electric field. So the ratio of magnetic induction to applied magnetic field intensity is called as permeability. Actually, it allows the magnetic lines of force to pass through the material. So it is the nature of a material, inherent property of a material, with what strength ability it allows the magnetic lines of force is can be measured by a parameter known as magnetic permeability, mu. It is the inherent property of material. It varies from material to material. It is the ratio of the magnetic induction to applied field B by H. The next one is magnetic susceptibility. It is represented by chi. The ratio between intensity of magnetization and the applied magnetic field intensity is called as magnetic susceptibility. Chi is equal to I by H. So it is the ability to get magnetized. It is the property of a material. How, with what ability it is magnetized in the materials, it is represented by magnetic susceptibility. It is the ratio of I by H, where I is intensity of magnetization and H is applied magnetic field intensity. So what is the magnetism present in the magnetic materials? How they can be magnetized is represented by a parameter known as M, intensity of magnetization. The units are ampere per meter. So magnetic dipole moment, magnetic induction, magnetic field intensity, magnetic permeability, magnetic susceptibility, and the intensity of magnetization. These are the basic definitions you should understand initially. Just note down this, otherwise you take a screenshot. Did you copy, students? Why this property of magnetism occurs? Can you guess something? What is the origin of this magnetization? In the material, why it gets the capacity of attracting the substances with some force? What is that actually? What is the origin of magnetization?
Due to presence of charged particles.
Due to the presence of charged particles. Still go inside, that is partially true. What actually the material consists of? Molecules. Molecules again, atoms. Again, atom consists of
Electrons.
Electrons. So what is the property of electron? Where the electrons revolve?
Around the nucleus.
orbital, around the nucleus in an orbital. So because of the motion of the electron, is it get some energy? Electron is moving in an orbital.
Yeah, sir. When they rotate, they generate some Bohr magneton.
Yeah. So the first one is the orbital motion of electrons is the origin of magnetization. Because of the motion of electrons around the nucleus in a specific orbit will contribute for certain magnetic behavior. So the origin of magnetization arises because of the orbital motion of electrons. In addition to this, the electron it moves around the nucleus and also it spins about its own axis, isn't it? So the second origin is the electron spin. So the spin of the electron also contributes for the magnetic behavior. First one is because of the orbital motion of electrons. Second one is the electron spin. And the third one, the nucleus spin. Even nucleus, it spins about its axis. It also gives certain magnetic behavior. So it's a combination of all the three. You see the diagram here. The center nucleus is there, different orbitals are there. The electron revolves around the nucleus in an orbital. Because of that, it possesses certain orbital magnetic moment. And the electron, while revolving the nucleus, it spins about its own axis, which gives certain spin magnetic moment. So it also the origin of magnetization and also nucleus spin. The nucleus also it rotates about moves about its axis, that is nucleus spin. So origin of magnetization is a combination of all three: the motion of electrons around the orbital, the spin motion of electrons, and the spin motion of nucleus. This causes certain magnetization in a given material. So the magnetic properties of solids generally arise because the electrons undergoing different motions in the atoms, which give rise to magnetic dipole moments. So these magnetic dipole moments are responsible for the magnetic properties of materials. So the magnetic dipole moment of atom arises from the three sources. One is orbital motion of electrons, second one is the electron spin, and the third one is the nucleus spin. So because of the different motions taken by the electron, like orbital movement and the spin movement, it causes certain magnetization. Along with this, the nucleus also it has some spin motion about its axis. These three will be the reason for giving certain magnetic properties of materials. In order to take this diagram and the origin of magnetization, you note down these 3 points: the orbital motion of electrons, electron spin, and nuclear spin, responsible for the magnetic behavior in materials. Please note down. Shall I continue?
Yes, sir.
So first one is orbital motion of electrons. So as we discussed, the atom of any material consists of certain nucleus. At the center, we assume nucleus is there, and electrons move around the nucleus in specific orbits by obeying Pauli's exclusion principle. Different orbitals are there because they should obey quantum rules. Each electron orbit is equivalent to a tiny current loop because of the motion. One orbit, one electron will be moving. You can assume it is a tiny current loop and behaves as an elementary magnet, which produces certain magnetic dipole moment. Like that, number of orbitals are there, which contributing for the total orbital magnetic moment of an atom, which is the sum of orbital magnetic moments of individual electrons. So each electron will be possessing orbital magnetic moment. Like that, different orbitals are there, and the different electrons are moving in that, which giving certain net orbital magnetic moment. So this net or the total of all these will give you the total orbital magnetic moment for the atom. So in this way, orbital the motion of electron will be responsible for the magnetic behavior in materials in general. In addition to this, the electron spin. So each electron, along with its orbital motion, it's spinning about an axis through itself. So the spin of this electron will also give rise to a magnetic dipole moment. So this is the second reason. The electron, along with its orbital motion, it spins about its axis by itself, and this spin gives certain magnetic dipole moment. And the third one is the nuclear spin. So in addition to electronic contribution, nuclear spin also responsible, which contributes to magnetic moment of atoms. So, but it is equal to 1 by 2000 of the magnetic moment of electron, hence it is neglected. Of course, the force will be there. Spin of nucleus will also be responsible for a small amount of magnetic field, but comparing to this orbital motion and spin motion, it can be neglected. So generally, we won't consider the magnetic moment because of nucleus is not considered or it is neglected. So these are the three major reasons or links so that the material possesses some magnetic behavior. Orbital motion of electrons, electron spin, and the nuclear spin. Please take the screenshot of this. This is a very important topic. You write down classification of magnetic materials. Classification of magnetic materials. You write down, depending on the nature, magnetic materials are classified as, you take all the five: diamagnetic materials, paramagnetic materials, ferromagnetic materials, antiferromagnetic materials, ferrimagnetic materials. These five you should remember. This is a definite question. Generally, we are getting. Basing on the nature, magnetic materials are classified as diamagnetic materials, paramagnetic materials, ferromagnetic materials, antiferromagnetic materials, and ferrimagnetic materials. These five we will discuss and then stop for today. Tomorrow we will continue. You note down this five. I will explain what actually the three five categories of magnetic materials. Please note down. Can you tell what is a diamagnetic material? Anyone from girls' side? What are diamagnetic materials? Any girl student? You're there in the class.
Yes, sir.
Boys are there. Girls are not responding today. Okay, anyone from your section? What are diamagnetic materials? Do you have any idea? Don't know.
Two electrons.
The electrons.
Some magnetic property.
The magnetic
The electrons.
Even number of electrons.
Even number of electrons are also there. Is there attract magnets or not? Diamagnetic material.
Repel, sir.
They repel. Very good. So in diamagnetic material, the magnetic dipoles are oriented in such a way that the resultant dipole moment is zero. So when external magnetic field is applied, these dipoles are moved opposite to the direction of the applied field, so that the induced dipole moment repels the magnetic field. So these are the materials which repel the magnetic lines of force. Or these are the materials which consist of atoms with zero magnetic dipole moment. When external magnetic field is applied, they acquire feeble magnetism in a direction opposite to the field, so that they repel the magnetic lines of force. Because of this nature, they have negative susceptibility values, and the magnetization in diamagnetic materials is directed opposite to the direction of the applied magnetic field. Exactly, the dipoles align in the direction opposite to the direction of the field, so that they repel the magnetic lines of force. So the susceptibility is negative, highly negative, which is of the order of 10 to the power of minus 6. And because the susceptibility is negative, the relative permittivity is slightly less than unity. So it's also permeability is very less, and this diamagnetic behavior it is independent of temperature. And these diamagnetic materials or substances, they are repelled by magnetic field. So these are the properties of diamagnetic materials. So the diamagnetic materials, the magnetic dipoles are oriented in such a way that the resultant dipole moment is zero. When external magnetic field is applied, the dipoles align in the direction opposite to the direction of the applied field, so that the induced dipole moment repels the applied field. So whenever you apply such an external magnetic field, this diamagnetic substance it repels the magnetic lines of force, because the material consisting of atoms with zero magnetic dipole moment. And when applied field is given, they acquire certain feeble magnetism in the opposite direction, which repels the magnetic lines of force. The susceptibility is negative, and the magnetization directed in the opposite direction of applied magnetic field is of the order 10 to the power of -6. And the diamagnetic susceptibility, since it is negative, the relative permittivity is slightly less than 1. And this diamagnetic behavior it is independent of temperature. And these materials they repel the magnetic lines of force. These are diamagnetic materials. Please note down these points. Write down this sentence. In diamagnetic materials, magnetic dipoles are oriented in such a way that magnetic dipoles are oriented in such a way that the resultant dipole moment is zero. The resultant dipole moment is zero. When external magnetic field is applied, the dipoles move opposite to the applied field direction. Hence, the induced dipole moment repels the applied field. Induced dipole moment repels the applied field. And all these points you should add. What is there in the PPT? They have negative susceptibility values. Diamagnetism is independent of temperature. This you should add. So if you take a paramagnetism and diamagnetism, so diamagnetic material repels the magnetic lines of force. Materials are repelled by a strong magnet, it is diamagnet. So materials are attracted by a strong magnet, they are paramagnetic or ferromagnetic materials. And examples of these diamagnetic materials: bismuth, hydrogen, sodium chloride, copper, etc. These are the examples. Coming to the second one, paramagnetic materials. I think paramagnetic materials, these are the substances. In the absence of the field, the magnetic dipoles are randomly oriented. It will not exhibit any magnetization. But in the presence of the field, the magnetic dipoles they align in the direction of the applied field, giving rise to strong magnetic behavior. These are called as paramagnetic materials. So in the absence of the field, they are diamagnetic. They have permanent magnetic dipoles and magnetic momentum, but these magnetic dipoles are randomly oriented. So the magnetic dipole moment, because of one electron, one atom is nullified by the another one, so that the net magnetization is zero. But in the presence of the field, slowly these magnetic dipoles align in the direction of the field, giving rise to strong magnetic properties. So these are called as paramagnetic materials. So when they are placed in magnetic field, they acquire feeble magnetism in the direction of the magnetic field. Whereas in diamagnetic materials, in the presence of the field, the magnetic dipoles they acquire certain field in the opposite direction. But here, in the same direction, they will orient so that they give strong magnetic properties. And the susceptibility is slightly positive, and which is of the order of 10 to the power of -6, and the relative permeability is more than 1. That's why they allow the magnetic lines of force. When it is placed in the magnetic field, the field lines are pulled towards the material and permit through it. That means it steadily, in the presence of the field, it orients in the direction of the field. They are strongly dependent on temperature. So as the temperature rises, at a temperature known as Curie temperature, all these magnetic dipoles, they take random orientation and it loses its paramagnetic behavior and it becomes a paramagnet. So the examples of these paramagnetic materials are oxygen, iron salt solutions, copper chloride, chromium, etc. These are the examples. Bismuth, sorry, not bismuth. This potassium, manganese, chromium, oxygen. Oxygen is a paramagnetic material. Copper chloride. All these are examples of paramagnetic material. Please note on this.
సార్ క్యూరీ టెంపరేచర్ పారామాగ్నెటిక్ కి లో ఉంటుందా సార్?
Curie temperature అనేది low high కాదు, depends on ఇప్పుడు ఐరన్ ఉందనుకో, ఐరన్ Curie temperature 1043 Kelvin. It is material specific. For different materials, the Curie temperature will be different.
అది వేరియేషన్ అయితే కదా సార్ ప్రతి ఒక్క మెటీరియల్ కి
Vary అవుతుంది. So we take this one. Paramagnetic materials. These materials possesses a permanent magnetic moment. These materials possesses permanent magnetic moment. Right now, in the absence of the field, the magnetic dipoles are randomly oriented. The magnetic dipoles are randomly oriented, and hence net magnetization is 0. And hence net magnetization is 0. When external magnetic field is applied, the magnetic dipoles align in the direction of the field. The magnetic dipoles align in the direction of the field and gives rise to some net magnetization. If you see the figure, in the absence of the field, all the magnetic dipoles are randomly oriented. But in the presence of the field, the magnetic lines, the magnetic dipoles are oriented in one particular direction. That's true. The susceptibility is positive and order of 10 to the power of -6, and permeability is slightly more than 1. They attract reasonably the magnetic lines of force, and this behavior depends on temperature. Next one, ferromagnetic materials. So ferromagnetic materials are the materials which are permanent magnets. So they exhibit a phenomena which is called as spontaneous magnetization. That is, even the applied magnetic field is 0, there exists a magnetic moment within the material so that it behaves as a magnetic material. There are many reasons and theories are there, and this is a ferromagnet. So the materials possesses permanent magnetic moment because of the spin magnetic moment. So mainly in ferromagnetic material, the magnetic behavior is because of the spinning of electron. Number of electron spins with the specific magnetization will leads to the ferromagnetic behavior of the material. So when they placed in a magnetic field, they become strongly magnetized in the direction of the field. And the neighboring dipoles are also having strong interaction even in no field. Because, as I said, it obeys spontaneous magnetization. And the exchange interactions we'll discuss in this molecular field theory. And it has a strong domain structure. In each domain, dominant magnetization is there. In net, effective magnetization will be in the direction of the applied field, and they exhibit spontaneous magnetization. You see the diagram, it has number of regions. In each region, the electron spins are oriented in one particular direction. Take this figure for ferromagnetic material. As I said, they readily accept all magnetic lines of force, and they have a spontaneous magnetization. If it is suspended freely, it set itself parallel to the external field. So by its own nature, it will be in the direction of the applied field. And the important phenomena that can be exhibited by a ferromagnetic material is magnetic hysteresis. This will discuss once again. It is similar to the ferroelectric hysteresis. Both are similar. And this ferromagnet shows magnetostriction effect. You know what is magnetostriction? Anybody? So magnetostriction, it is a method. Whenever a magnetic field is applied to a ferromagnetic substance, then it vibrates along its mechanical axis. The converse of this effect is also true. So whenever some force is applied along the mechanical axis of the ferromagnetic crystal, it produces magnetic field. So this phenomenon is called as magnetostriction. So most of the ferromagnetic materials, they exhibit magnetostriction. So once again, ferromagnetic materials, these are the materials which exhibit the magnetization even in the absence of external magnetic field. In this, permanent magnetic dipoles are there, which can be expressed in terms of magnetic domain, which orient in one particular direction, giving rise to certain magnetization. But in the absence of the field, they are randomly oriented magnetic domains. But in the presence of the field, they align quickly in the direction of the field, and they exhibit magnetization, strong magnetization. And they have highly positive susceptibility values, and they follow Curie's law given by chi is equal to c by t minus theta. C is Curie constant, theta is Curie temperature, and they have highly positive susceptibility values and permeability values. They strongly accept all magnetic lines of force, and they exhibit magnetic hysteresis, and they have magnetostriction property. These are ferromagnetic materials. Next, the same, what I explained, they have permanent and large magnetization due to parallel element of neighboring magnetic moments. Magnetic susceptibilities are highly positive, they are very high, and it is very large due to spontaneous magnetization. And because of large internal field, that means magnetic domain structure is there, the dipoles themselves arrange in same direction, giving rise to spontaneous magnetization. So the fourth one is antiferromagnetic materials. So antiferromagnetic materials are the materials which exhibit a small positive susceptibility. Antiferromagnetic materials, these are the materials which exhibit a small positive susceptibility of the order 10 to the power of minus 3 and 10 to the power of minus 5. So the variation of susceptibility with the temperature is as follows. So it's a particular pattern. Suddenly these materials, they fall from antiferromagnetic region to paramagnetic region. So there is no intermediate ferromagnetic region. So up to one particular temperature, which is called as Neal temperature, the susceptibility is maximum. And once the temperature crosses Neal temperature, randomization of magnetic dipole state takes place. It loses its magnetic behavior and it becomes a paramagnetic. There is no antiferro. So this is a typical structure. Still works are going on this. Why this behavior is there for these antiferromagnetic materials? So what I said is, with the further increase in temperature, the material goes into paramagnetic state. And the material is antiferromagnetic below Curie temperature, and the relation is given by C by T plus theta. It's a typical material, and I will show one more diagram for this. Yeah. Is this visible diagram? New one?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. One minute. Antiferromagnetic. Yeah. So in this, you can see the for this only I have opened this PowerPoint. These are the materials in which equal number of opposite spins with same magnitude such that the orientation of neighboring spins is in anti-parallel manner or present. That means one is from top to bottom, another one is from bottom to top with same magnitude. Because of this, both will nullify. So that the net magnetization in general is zero. Like that, you have can find number of parallel and anti-parallel magnetic spins. Because of that, even though it has plenty of magnetic spins, it has only a small positive value of susceptibility. And the temperature at which antiferromagnetic material converts into a ferromagnetic and paramagnetic material is called as Niels temperature. So it's the Niels temperature in an antiferromagnetic material. It becomes a paramagnetic material. So this is the nature of anti-ferromagnetic material. In these materials, the magnetic dipoles are anti-parallel to each other. This is due to the exchange interaction between the dipoles, and the magnitudes of these dipoles are equal. The resultant magnetic moment is zero. So this occurs only at very low temperature. So generally, these anti-ferromagnetic materials, they are available at very low temperature. The susceptibility is slightly positive and very small. A temperature known as Neal temperature, it becomes a paramagnetic material. Manganese oxide, ferrous sulfide, all these are typical examples of this magnetic material, anti-ferromagnetic materials. So the last one, we'll stop here. The fifth category is the ferrimagnetic materials. So in these ferrimagnetic materials, the magnetic dipoles are anti-parallel, but the magnitudes are different. So in the previous case, they're anti-parallel, but magnitudes are same, so both cancels. But here, they have different magnitudes. Because of this, in one particular direction, some spins are dominant, and they exhibit magnetization in that direction. So spin alignment is anti-parallel with a different magnitude. Because of this, they exhibit some magnetization. So susceptibility for these materials is positive, and it is very large for these materials. So these materials, ferrites is a class of these materials. Ferrites are typical examples of these materials, and the susceptibility is inversely proportional to the temperature. So as the temperature increases, susceptibility decreases, and vice versa. The important class of these ferrimagnetic materials are ferrites, which we'll study later. What is the structure of a ferrite, and what are the applications of ferrites we are going to discuss in the next class. So in the today's session, we have discussed the basic definitions which involved in the properties of magnetic materials such as the magnetic dipole moment, magnetic induction field, magnetic field intensity, permeability, magnetic flux, etc. Then basing on the nature of the magnetic materials are classified into diamagnetic, ferro, antiferro, and ferrimagnetic materials depending on the spin structure and their susceptibility values. So this we have discussed. Tomorrow we will little bit will go further in this classification of magnetic materials, and I'll explain what this molecular field theory qualitative treatment, which is based on quantum theory, and the expression for the susceptibility, which is called as Curie-Weiss law. That we will discuss in the next class tomorrow 12:20. Just go through this and.